Hi, welcome back to Real Reviews. This is Cody Williams, and we're talking about the movie Candyman. It is a direct sequel to the original 1992 Candyman that retcons any other sequel that takes place after. Sort of how like the newer Halloween movies have been done, if you want to make that same comparison. I've seen the original Candyman a crazy amount of times, but I have not seen any of its sequels. With those sequels being retconned, I just don't see a point to give them the time of day, but I'm sure I'll eventually get around to watching them. After the success of the horror movies that Jordan Peele has worked on, such as Us and Get Out, I was excited to hear that he was attached to this new sequel as a producer and writer, along with Nia DaCosta as director. Set in present day, a decade later after the last of the Cabrini Towers were torn down, Anthony and his partner move into a loft in the now gentrified Cabrini. A chance encounter with an old-timer exposes Anthony to the true story behind Candyman. Anxious to use these macabre details in his studio as fresh grist for paintings, he unknowingly opens the door to a complex past that unravels his own sanity and unleashes a terrifying wave of violence. By the time this movie was all said and done, I cannot stop thinking about how sublime it really was. I know that the original film can't be topped, but this new sequel is a perfectly powerful addition to revitalize the Candyman name for a whole new generation. During the whole movie, I was completely mesmerized by its ethereal quality. It's haunting in all the right ways possible, which ultimately leaves you in a state of uneasiness throughout. Didn't think this sequel would go all out as it did, but in good honest faith, it did. The most captivating part about this movie is the visual sense of storytelling throughout unique camera angles and beautiful cinematography. With Nia DaCosta behind the camera as director, the way the movie captures everything is wholeheartedly breathtaking. Since mirrors are the main visual focal point of the story, the way the filming techniques were done showing the Candyman killer doing what he does best, through a variety of different sized mirrors, I just thought the camera work involved was brilliantly well done. When it comes to the storytelling aspect behind the Candyman urban legend itself, the shadow puppetry utilized was phenomenal to watch. There's not much of it during the actual movie, but a good majority of it is done throughout the end credits. It was good enough to have me staying in my seat until the end credits were completely done. The movie story itself is an amazing feat of its own making. I've never seen a sequel to a horror movie give that much respect to its beloved preceding film. I'm so glad I watched the original film as a refresher right before this new one, because it all seamlessly interweaves together beautifully, and I highly recommend anyone else to do the same. Just like the original movie, this sequel has plenty of social commentary in regards of race and class to go around. Whereas in the first film it was more subtle, but in this new sequel, however, it's more blatantly obvious. I get where the filmmakers were trying to accomplish, but I just don't know how to say this in the utmost respectful manner. If anything, you could say that this film perfectly mirrors today's society, so to speak. The acting by everyone was utterly phenomenal. The main standout is Yahya Abdul Mateen II, who plays the leading character of Anthony. The only thing I remember him from was the Aquaman movie from a few years ago, where he plays Mana. He was great in that film, and he was magnificent in this movie as well. We even have WandaVision star Teyonah Parris, who is absolutely stunning in this film. It wouldn't be a Candyman movie without the legendary Tony Todd himself, so of course, he's in this movie as well. If there's any other returning characters from the first film, Vanessa Williams reprises her exact same role. It's going to be hard to say this without spoiling anything, so I'm going to try my best to keep it vague as possible. We're all familiar with the backstory behind Candyman, but I can't determine as to how much I like how the urban legend killer was handled in this movie. I get that they're trying something new, but I honestly don't know how to perceive it yet at this point. I kind of saw a hint of it coming from the marketing alone, but I didn't think they would actually go through with it. Yeah, I know it all sounds confusing right now, but you'll have to watch the movie to understand what I'm talking about. If there's anything about this movie I definitely don't like, it would have to be the abrupt ending. You have great build-up throughout the whole film, but the way it just ends, it really left on a sour note for me. If we do wind up getting a sequel to this movie, that's great. However, I think the ending should have been handled a whole lot better. If we do get a director's cut with additional footage for the home release, I'll let it slide. Until then, that's my only complaint with this movie. Overall, Candyman is a great sequel that is not to be missed. It's a great extension of the story that was introduced to us in the first film and definitely leaves you high and dry wanting more by the time it ends. It's not psychological as much as its predecessor, but it still makes for a bloody fun time at the movies this weekend. This movie probably won't sit well with everyone, but I for one had an enjoyable time. I give this movie an A-. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel. Keep up my real